Welcome back to the Future Self podcast. Welcome to season 4, episode 16, part 2.
The masculine is to give a solution or solve the problem. And I think that a balance is sometimes and often required when it comes to coaching.
It's crucial.
Yeah.
And even not just coaching, just everyday experience. So even with my mum, and my mum's worked so goddamn hard to put up with me in the sense of me always educating her on things. Like it is, even my ex-partner, it is so fucking tiring when you're not wanting to necessarily be in your era of self-development when someone else is going at it at fucking light speed and you're needing to catch up with that. But I learned that things got so much easier communicating with anyone when I wasn't always posing the solution. Even though I'm a problem solver, I'm a helper, I'm a coach, I really want to, it actually can be more detrimental to always give a solution.
Then do you feel like it bottled up inside you and you're like, oh, I just want to give this answer. I just want to give you the solution. Like I want to help you. I love and care about you. Like
maybe
is that what it is that is conflicting for you?
Maybe that's what, as an overall blanket, builds up my resentment towards people not being their full potential, because I store solutions for people that they're not accessing or choosing to because it's the right thing at the time. And because I store that inside, I'm just this ball of solution, and I'm a ball of energy felt solution. And I maybe just project that onto people of like, this is why it fucking annoys me when people aren't living up to their potential. Because though the balance, such a great question, because the balance between solution and just hearing someone, sometimes the solution is just hearing them and not actually giving it. But
then by the same token, sometimes accountability is what people need too. And that's again like the complex thing with that X, Y, Z, X equals Z. No, it doesn't, because humans are so complex.
That's why that stems into like two frictions I feel of agitation towards people's rejection of pricing with coaching, and then also other coaches. So some coaches, and I differentiate it maybe as an ego way of, there's PTs and coaches. I think a coach is someone who breaks down a scenario like that and goes, not that they do only this, but this is the complexity of thought. Is it best to give a solution, or is it best to just give support and tell them they're heard? That to me is what a coach embodies, that level of complex thinking and is this the right thing to do at this point in time? Because maybe 2 weeks ago in the same scenario, it'd be a different position, but what is it of benefit right now? Versus a PT to me is someone that just fucks around, goofs around. If someone's complaining, tells them to suck it up, just fucking get on with it. It's like, I get the simplicity and there's a nice essence about that. But like the lack of thought behind saying that is what eats at me. And this, again, it ties in with how the episode opened, analyzing what's the right thing to do. Because I look at other people that say, oh, you're being a fat fuck, like just suck it up. And I could never, ever, ever do that, purely just for the breakdown analysis of why are they doing what they're doing? Why don't they have self-respect? Why aren't they looking after themselves? What are they struggling with? What hurt have they been through? And this is what I'm saying, of the more self-development I do, the harder things are. Sometimes I would like to be that coach that says something like that, laughs it off, and then the client, just kind of deals with it. They move on and they continue working together.
That's very abrasive language to a client that's paying you. But I think that I'd be so curious to know, if you sat in on one of my sessions with my clients, whether you'd feel that resentment or like that frustration, being like, Charlie, why are you not giving them the solution when you could, if you were sitting in the room, I think you could clearly see, okay, she knows what I know. She's trying to guide them towards something. Why doesn't she just tell them? I'm curious.
But that's why you almost scapegoated it before to not pedestal yourself, that you don't give the solution like you're a person living life for the first time.
Absolutely I am, yeah.
But someone's come to you for a reason. And this is why, like, clients always say to me, I'm so grateful for where you've gotten me to. Like, I wouldn't, be this and this without you. And a question I pose back sometimes, I always show appreciation, but it's also like, but we don't know where you'd be. You could be way further behind. You could be way further in front. We don't know. And that's why I think, like, coach selection is so important, or just mentors or having people in your life based around the style of life they live, but also the way they show up for themselves. It's like I'm not a master in anything, but I've pretty well mastered for my own self-respect and showing up for myself for 23 years at this point in time. I'll look back at me saying this right now and cringe and go, mate, you knew nothing. But for where I feel like I should be at in a comparative sense, yeah. Well, that's another conversation, the should, could expectation.
Yeah.
But just for the fact of this statement, that's why I think people come to me. So that's why when I give a solution, I don't always think the way I go about things is the best way or there's no other way. But it's like, you align to me and the way I show up for myself. This is how I would show up for myself if I was in your shoes. And that's why, I would give information like that. There's also merit in being strong on what you say. It's like when you ask a friend, should I do this or should I do that? And they're like, oh, do this. And you're like, fuck, I really want to do that. Like there is merit in saying something with assertiveness to a client and it being wrong for them, but it gives them an answer. It's like my psychologist used to say shit all the time. And I'd be like, fuck, no, like I don't like that or I don't like your perspective of that. But by her doing that, it gave me the answer. So she fulfilled her role in helping me and hand-holding me, even though it wasn't at face value of what she was saying. Anyway.
Yeah. A lot of my self-development journey, especially towards, as I've gotten away from probably the most traumatic experiences in my life have been that as I've aged, I've become less serious. I've become more playful. I've become more light and like let things be light and adventurous and wonderful because it is. But it's also really, really serious. It's serious if you want it to be, and it's hard and it's like shit if you want it to be. It literally is what you make of it. I think that's the point.
So like adding the audience to not speak as if they know because they don't, but this is what I was saying the other day and what I've been saying now of like someone might see you for just a light, kind, soft, understanding, caring individual, which is amazing. I can't see that for that. In my head, it's like, why? Oh, okay, well, you just express. Some of the shittest times in your life were serious and really troublesome, so that's why you're lighter now. And that's the experience of struggle I've been having at the moment of making sense of why people are the way they are, either by choice, but I think I've just unfortunately done it enough now where it's not by choice, it's automatic.
That is hijacked immediately. You're like, oh, yep, this is what happens.
But then it ties in with that 49-51. It might be 49% shit to be like, fuck, I can't just appreciate a kind, amazing human for who they are. But the 51% is, well, it's good to know why they are and it makes sense. So that's why you might be like, well, why don't you just stop analyzing?
No. But even there is analyzing, and I'm not telling you to stop, but I'm just going to ask you a question. After you come to the conclusion, like, you're like, why am I a nice person? Thank you as well. That's really sweet. But you go, okay, I've made sense of it because in the past, like she's been through crap. How do you feel?
Validated, which is probably not the answer you were.
No, that's perfectly fine. I wasn't expecting any answer, but where does that validation come from?
Well, I pre-assumed this about someone, and then by digging deep and maybe asking the questions, they confirmed what I thought. So it's like, holy fuck, I just worked that out on my own without even knowing, just from dragging on all these resources that maybe this book I read, this convo I had, this confirmation.
So why is that validation important to you? And it's important to you. We know that it's important to you because you feel validated.
Great question. Validation important.
You don't even have to answer it right now.
No, I probably can. I think it's just like having a mission that I want to have such a positive impact, and maybe that being misunderstood. Like being misunderstood and so in the last gym I worked at, I was seen as arrogant. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm taking care of myself and valuing my time. I'm not going to talk to this random person that's trying to talk to me when I'm in a session with a paying client, and people would just see me as arrogant. Or you can't talk to him, he'll brush you off, he's arrogant. And it was like being misunderstood, because in my mind, I'm like, I'm caring for myself and valuing my time. I'm caring for my client and giving them the best I can.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think when I make confirmations from this analyzing, it validates maybe what I'm doing to be the right thing.
But why do you need to know that that's the right thing?
Because
why do you need? Why? What part of inside you is like, what I'm doing has to be the right thing?
Because my intentions are pure, and
Mm-hmm.
it's been misunderstood before.
Mm-hmm. By other people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On a decent basis.
Yeah.
So that's why. So then when like my sister coming over to Bali recently, she's at times brushed me off for what I've said or how I've thought things. And she sat, like, really heard what I had to say and really just gave a response of, holy fuck. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you get it. Like, wow, I really understand what you're talking about. I've never thought of that before. Like, that's so amazing you asked that question. Or by you asking that question yesterday, I thought of it all night. So then in my head, I'm like, fuck, like what I'm doing is the right thing, even if it's misunderstood by so many people.
So it's sounding like the validation that you feel from like knowing that what you're thinking is the right thing, or or someone can be like, yeah, I agree. That to you validates a part of you that maybe in the past wasn't validated.
Well, yeah, even just like does
it give you purpose to know that?
I don't know if it's resurrection. I just want to interrupt the episode for a second to speak about a cool little giveaway that I have partnered with 10 Plus for. Now, it's not a paid ad. It's not a paid promo. It's just an unreal company thriving out of Asia. It is an electrolyte company. We've partnered to do a giveaway. So one of these electrolyte mix packs, 12 sachets. Whoever likes the episode, comments down below your favorite timestamp, will go in the draw to win one of these shipped to you. If you're within the Asia and Europe region, it'll ship directly from them. If you're from the Australian region, I am shipping you one of my personal packs. So like the episode, comment down below. If you're tuning in on Spotify, head over to YouTube. Let's get back into the conversation.
So it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when you thought you were talking airy-fairy, like things that maybe didn't resonate, when it was validated, you were like, okay, that self-doubt that I had about, am I a good person? Am I smart? Am I right? Am I worthy? Was like dropped. You were like, oh, now I know that I'm worthy. Now I know I'm a good person.
Yeah, maybe. And like, so the rebuttal someone could have is, well, you just need to back yourself more. And it's like, you can only back yourself.
Who does that sound like?
Me? Yeah, you can only back yourself so much if you're intensely black sheeped. So like, and this is maybe a projection experience.
No, I totally get
I
it.
know the way I'm thinking is the right way, but you can't, like, I don't think anyone could lie that doubt doesn't pop in if you're so in a consensus disagreed with or so opposed against.
I know that you would know that I get that from my past experience and how I got out of home. Absolutely. You feel a level of maybe shame. You feel a level of like questioning yourself, self-doubt. But I mean, like that for me was a fair while ago, and I've had, nothing is linear. There's always moments of self-doubt, and as much as until I die, I will continue to experience all feelings and spectrums of emotions, as like self-doubt and self-confidence, all of it. But I think that the real triumph is if we can get to a place where, not saying that if majority of people, what happened with you like that is crippling. That's trauma. But you get to a point where you're like, that has happened and that was shit. Like that sucked. But I know I'm a good person. and like you talk about stacking the resume, you know you're a good person.
Yeah.
I totally get where you're coming from, but I would then question, like, first of all, before questioning, validate and be like, oh, this is what I'm experiencing and so valid. I'd feel the same. Anyone in your position or anyone like just in similar circumstances would feel the same. But then why is the loss of people or the loss of people's support so painful?
Because of misrepresentation. That's people are seeing it for what it isn't. They're seeing it for a perspective, but not what it isn't. And trust me, I've been asked that question of, oh, well, they're just not your people. So don't worry about them. Like, they're not your people. Do you really want those people,
but it doesn't sound like it's about the people for you. It's about being recognized for who you are. That's what I am hearing.
Two episodes ago, I talked about I never get lonely, but I struggle when I don't feel useful and helpful. I don't know, like, it's just a concept that if I'm not making impact or helping people, that's when things really start to get like shitty for me. So a month ago now, by the time this episode's out or however long, I had a really, really tough, like we chatted about it, I had a really tough week. And that was because I started feeling like I was making less impact or I was not being as helpful as I'd like to be. And that's why, like, losing groups or having tarnish through the perspective of groups is hard, because I like making impact. But then again, like, this is where self-development's so fucked sometimes, because the question that anyone could pose is, well, you need to identify through something else, or you need to learn to not solely put your eggs in the basket of one thing.
I think if there's right and wrong always but for you, only ever right. But if hypothetically there was a wrong in what you were saying, this is what it would be. It's that I don't think that it's inherently bad to feel purpose, and like you feel, I can hear that you feel like your purpose is literally like to serve, to help people. That's not a bad thing. That's not inherently bad. It doesn't necessarily mean you should not put your eggs in all that basket. Or put all your eggs in that basket, sorry. But maybe it's about recognizing what is it that makes you feel, like you're making an impact. Is it outward expression? Is it, hey, I really appreciate you for this? Which, if it is, then I'd find really interesting, because I've noticed even throughout this episode when I've said, hey, thank you, and acknowledged you for something that you've done for me, or something that you've said.
Yes.
You get so uncomfortable, but it's something that you so deeply want.
Damn.
But again, hypothetical wrong. Not saying that you are, but like I said, if there was a wrong, then maybe that's what it would be.
But you preach, or you state interconnectedness a lot. And this is, again, it's going through my mind. Like, I think the returns of what I like aren't like words of affirmation, like how you would say, like, you helped me. I think it's just seeing people be their potential and knowing I had a role in that.
Okay.
And that, again, it ties in with high school. I hated people not being their potential. I struggle in conversations when I'm having to talk different to someone because they're not speaking through their potential. So it's a really,
Can I ask what happened before that, high school? Like, in terms of your... Sorry, you don't have to answer this and we can keep going on the questions, but I'm intrigued. What was your relationship to both your parents? Like, obviously, your listeners or people who may be like tuning in for the first time don't know that you lost your dad. But what was the relationship like with him? What was your relationship like with your mum? Were you often like encouraged to be your full potential all the time?
Yeah, this is where, like, I'd almost like to have a statement to be like, oh, my dad never thought I was enough. Like, this is why I push people to be their potential. But it was fucking great. Like, I idolized my dad. We'd motorbike ride. We'd do all these things. I never Mum's experience of him is, of course, different. I was fucking 12 and younger, so I see the innocence versus she sees the adult and experience the adult experience.
We're talking about you.
Yeah. But yeah, it was great. Both parents, great. Even when both parents split, great.
Yeah.
It was always great. It was never, I didn't feel enough for this. The support, insane. Mum's support, insane. Dad's support, insane. I never felt a lack of.
The fact that, I just want to say, just because you can't pinpoint a thing where you're like, oh no, I didn't, like I felt like I was always pushed to be my full potential, does not mean that it's not tied, because, and I'm not, again, like this is a slippery slope, because we could be like, oh, this is the reason, like creating meaning.
You sound like me.
I know. But if you felt a sense of love as a child, a sense of recognition when you did something good, then that, who knows, like that could be the reason why throughout, high school, you're like, oh, I feel so loved and recognized by my family, by my peers when I'm reaching my full potential. It feels good. It's unreal. Why are you not doing that? Like, you cooked unit. Go and do something better. That could be where it comes from. But again, and this is the other hard thing, is like, what merit does having the reason?
Yeah.
Like, what weight does that hold? Because it doesn't change it unless something changes.
Yeah. And again, I think I'm finding use in tying and importance for the audience to tie it all back in.
Yeah, totally.
What we're saying, which we have been, but this is why I keep linking back to the start of the episode. But that is why, like, the more I learn, the more I discover myself, why I am the way I am. Like, there was a point in my life, I never knew that I felt the want to help people. So then when it's absent, if it was absent when I was younger, I was just like, oh, I'm just having a flat day. But now I actively know why it's absent. The pursuit of growth to know that is my 51%. It's good to know it's absent. But now knowing it's absent, the 49% that's come with it is, fuck, I know it's absent from this.
Yeah.
So that's what
So from like the reputation and things like that.
Yeah.
So what would helping people outside of work look like? Could it be going out, on the streets of Bali, there are a lot of people in need. Could it be something small like, hey, brother, here's a note.
I do. This it makes me giggle because you can't do selfless things because there's selfish returns in it. You can do it with maybe a little bit more innocence than the gain of a selfish return.
Yeah.
But I go to the shops to get my groceries every second day because food just doesn't last here in Bali. And every single time the 2 security guards out of the Pepitos, I buy them both coconut water. Like, and just doing those little things. Now, sometimes
that feels fulfilling to you, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I don't go around and like give money because it has that white person's complex of that savior complex.
We're very privileged for sure.
Yeah. But no, it is great. The question I will take away from this, because I can't answer it now, is why does the impact through work service the want of helping people compared to the other things?
Okay. How much do you think we attribute meaning or extra meaning to things is valid, and how much of it is a comfort thing?
I've never thought of that concept until our first episode.
Really?
Ever. When you are like...
You got goosebumps, I remember.
Yeah, it almost blew the whole point of having this tattoo meaningless.
Did I not see that too? Like, it's right there.
No, but I never thought, and this is why the conversation and podcasting is so great. I'd never thought, some people who are successful have to have enough delusion that in their mind, they convince themselves that it's actually how it is. Like, I would say Conor McGregor to majority, he's really delusional, but he probably just believed it wholeheartedly, like actually got to a point of convincing himself wholeheartedly that's how it is. I think there's so much merit in that. And I feel like that's where I was before you asked that question. I was like, no, there's reason. Like, I convinced myself so much that there 100% is. I think there is reason, and it's a beautiful way of going about things. But I also think we can attribute meaning, reason to give meaning for things to make sense. And now I don't treat it as like my religion, that everything happens for a reason, but I treat it as a chosen belief. Like, that's going through life for me through the lens of everything happens for a reason is just a more beautiful way of going through it than that acceptance of just shit things happen. I also think, because I like to coach around the aspect of what role do you play and can you gain control over your position or where you're going, everything happening for a reason gives you an ounce of control, because it's like you can now dictate almost, because you're creating the reason. Realistically, the reason is not given to you on your doorstep.
You're creating the reason.
Yeah, which I agree to. It gives you a sense of control of the direction you go, because everything happens for a reason. It's like, okay, what's the reason? Oh, well, this is the reason that makes sense to me. It's a nice way to go. Versus I don't like that approach of, oh shit, things happen. They do.
Yeah.
And you can think that way. It's not wrong. I just don't like it, because I don't want to ever sit there rendered helpless, be like, oh shit, things happen.
It's difficult because I hear that, and I know that accountability is so big for you. I was on another podcast and it got me thinking, because a question was posed and it was like, at what point do you just let things be shit? Like, can you let things be shit, and can that be conducive as well?
What's the point of that though? Like, that's the question I ask to myself. Things can be shit 100%. And oftentimes they are just shit. This is why I say I now attach the reason to it.
Yeah.
But what's the point of things just being shit? Like, that is, it's probably a projection of experiences in my life where I felt rapidly out of control. It's like, I don't ever want to feel that again. But just to sit there and throw your arms up in the air and be like, no, this is shit. Nothing comes from that. Versus that sucked, but this is probably why it happened. This is what I can do with it. That pathway for me is
so much better.
Way better to walk down, because to pose it to you, if a shit thing happens, oh, this sucks. It's like, what happens from then?
I'm going to draw to my own experience of something that happened earlier this morning, which you already know about.
Yeah.
I was groped on the street. As a woman, I think that that's universal experience. I'm pretty sure every single woman has experienced that at one point or multiple times in their life. And the reminder of this is life as a woman, or this can be life as a woman, hit me really hard. I was like, this sucks. And I was valid in sitting in that and being like, this sucks. But then I didn't just sit up, like, and be like, oh, this sucks, and like my whole day is cooked now. I was like, this sucks. I'm going to have a shower because I feel dirty. I feel angry. I'm going to cry, and I'm going to put some music on, and I'm going to have a boogie, and I'm going to have a great day. But the progression of, allowing myself to feel first, allowing it to be shit first, however long that takes, sometimes it might, like for me, it was about 45 to an hour today. But other times I can tell you for free, I'd be out for days, depending on the intensity of the level of, trauma or assault or disrespect. And I think that that's a very important point in allowing things to be shit. Doesn't mean sitting in defeat and being like, this is shit and it's shit forever. It means this is shit. I'm going to allow myself to acknowledge that this is shit.
Yeah. And
then I'm going to move on.
I want to put clarity into that. I don't disagree with that. I agree. I'm not devalidating something can't be shit. I'm not saying, get over it, go do what needs to be done. I agree. Things can be shit. What can I now do from that? You can sit in it and it feels shit. What can I do from that? It's like, I did a podcast episode with a client in the past, and she has limited use of her arm, and we did some fucking amazing work together. First time she'd publicly spoken about it. She talked about her.
I think I've watched this podcast. She's wonderful.
Yeah, hectic. Yeah. So she spoke about it. She shared it. She got vulnerable. I lost the whole fucking episode.
That's
lost
shit.
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
We did it again, and the second one was 10 times better. And that's that thing of, I sat there for a full day and I was like, this fucking sucks. This is shit. Why did it have to happen?
And then you did something about it.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that attaching a reason escapes you from allowing something to feel shit. I think maybe also it's giving yourself back a bit of power. Giving yourself, if you attach a reason to it and there's use from that reason, it gives you back some power. It's like, I lost my power from this shitty situation. I'm going to attach a reason that serves me and maybe other people. I gain some of that back.
Mm-hmm. I see and I hear and like totally acknowledge that creating meaning from it has been so powerful for you and other people as well.
Yeah, because for me, and this is what I reflected on in our first episode, for me to sit there and be like, shit, things just happen. Like, I'm not willing to put myself in that situation where I sit there and shoulder shrug and be like.
But I think that's where you and I are different in terms of that you're not sitting and shoulder shrugging. You're being like, this is shit.
I'm not, no, I don't want to confuse that. It's still shit it happened. When I say that, I'm saying you're rendering yourself helpless, where it's like, this is shit. It didn't happen, like, there's no reason as to why it happened. Shit things just, and that's it. And it kind of, the sentence just stops there.
But the sentence never stops. What would you tell your past self in your greatest moment of challenge with where you are now?
It's a sentence or phrase that's become a little bit popular recently, and I don't know where it's come from.
I thought I was being original here.
Not that.
Oh.
My answer.
Awesome.
No, what I'm about to say is become a little bit more popular recently, but I would probably just, the one sentence that the tragedy of life is that it has to be lived moving forwards, but it only makes sense in reverse. And I would just gently give that to him.
I love that. I really love that.
No solution. I wouldn't give anything else. Just enough of a thought of, okay, it sucks now, but I'll be able to look back on it and be like, okay, it makes sense in reverse.
You wouldn't give yourself a solution?
No. That's his solution. What about you? What would you say?
You are loved. That's it.
So on that note, into that camera there, what is one quote, thought, or question that you want to say to my audience for them to ask, think, or have more often?
As cheesy as it sounds and as overused as the phrase and sentence is, you are loved and you are enough. You're going to tease me for that for a while,
No.
I feel.
There's merit in anything we say. It's not what you do. It's not what you do. It's why you do it. And why you did that then was a very nice little transition. That is episode 16 of the Future Self podcast. We appreciate you for tuning in so much. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're tuning in, listening on Spotify, please share it. Let us know how you enjoyed it. I'll link Charlie's socials down in the description below. But thank you, and I'll see you next time.